Alright, so let's start the session here. I'm going to start off from the monthly time frame. What I'm curious about is if we close the month below this candle here, right? This candle here for NQ and this candle here for ES, right? And that should probably set the stage for the month of May. On the weekly chart, nothing is clear because after all we do have this bearish order block over here. For NQ we have this bearish order block with this fair value gap right here, and it was as anticipated. This week it was quite a difficult week, right? Because the previous week we have expansion. So usually after large range candles you are going to expect inside range candles. So this is one example of an inside candle. Now next week we have a lot of news drivers, red folder news drivers, and it's all on the economic calendar. Right, so for example, let's have a look. Right, so for next week we have Tuesday, 2 red folder news, and then for Wednesday, this is quite amazing, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 red folder news on one single day. So what I'm thinking is that the Wednesday should probably form the high or low of the week. And moving on, we have Thursday and then Friday. So with regards to this, what I'm looking for is trading on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. If possible, Friday after non-farm payrolls. I won't even consider Thursday because I think that Wednesday is going to be a large range candle. So if that's going to be the case, Thursday will be most probably be a inside day candle. So as you have seen this week how inside day candles or inside candles are very hard to trade, so I'm probably going to skip Thursday. Okay, now with this aside, let's move on to the charts and see what we can outline. Okay, on the daily we have this fair value gap for ES. Alright, let's just do ES first and then we'll compare NQ. Right, so for ES we have this fair value gap and we have this bearish order block. I do believe that we are going to completely fill this fair value gap, so I think the low hanging fruit objective for next week would be 5150. Basing off the current order flow on the daily, we are bullish. For the past few days we have been attacking highs, and from this closing price of this candle here, it's confirming that this down close candle is a valid bullish order block. So I'm waiting to see if price on the daily time frame can shift bearish in terms of order flow. Why is that so? Because I am bullish on the dollar. If you take a look at the dollar, we are bullish. So I don't really anticipate that the indices is going to run together or rally together with the dollar, but obviously that can happen, right? So it's not like a must to trade or move inversely with the dollar, right? But because I'm anticipating bullish dollar, it's very hard for me to be bullish on the indices as well. Okay, so what other levels can I derive from over here? I have this volume imbalance. This volume imbalance was used to send the price higher, right over here. So if price ever comes back up into this area and then it starts to show willingness to trade lower, I would gladly take this trade here. Okay, so from here, this swing high to this swing low, above 50%, it's around this level, which is this BPR. Okay, so what I'm looking for is that if we can trade above here and then trade lower. Okay, disregarding this bullish order block here. For now, it is a bullish order block, but later on in the week, it might not be a bullish order block, because on the daily time frames, we don't have an obvious SMT against NQ. Okay, so this is for the dollar, and if you take a look closely, we have a relative equal low down here. So to me, this is unfinished business, right? Therefore, I think that S&P can trade lower. Okay, and below this level here, I would be looking for January's low, because if you take a look at the 3-month candle, January's low is a bullish fair value gap. So this, to me, I think it's a very possible draw on liquidity. But because we're trading on the intraday, that doesn't really matter. All it matters is that I want to see a change in the state of delivery on the daily time frames. If I can get that, then I will be more confident in my shorts during the intraday. Right, so let's take a look at NQ. We are most likely done with ES. For NQ, on the weekly, we do have this bearish fair value gap. So I'm anticipating if price can take out this high, maybe trading into this CB here for a short into this low here. Okay, now why this low? If you take a look closer, it barely misses this fair value gap, which I think it's unfinished business as well. So if we can get something like a trade up into this and then drop lower, I'm confident in that trade idea. Okay, so from the high to the low, the current dealing range, above 50%, we have this fair value gap. So I think this is a high probability fair value gap, and invalidation points would obviously be this area here. So what are the levels that I'm going to keep track of next week? It would clearly be the weekly opening price, because I'm expecting a large range candle for next week. Therefore, I'm anticipating as well a great deal of manipulation above or below the opening price, depending on which direction the price is going to expand towards, right? So with that said, let's compare ES and NQ. If you really want to force SMT, you can use this month candle. So the month of February, right here. So if you measure it from the month of February, February's low for ES is over here. Right, we have higher highs for now, higher lows. And if you take a look at NQ, we have lower lows. So this itself could be SMT on the monthly candle, right? Which is why we got this rally here. To me, this is a short-term retracement for a continuation lower, and it aligns nicely with the dollar. So I'm not trying to trade against the current order flow, right? Unless something changes. Okay. Now with this, we're done with the forecast. So obviously next week you're expecting, I am expecting bearish prices, and because I'm expecting bearish prices, I would like to see manipulation to the upside first after the weekly opening price, after the weekly open, and then from Wednesday, second half of Wednesday to the end of the week, we trade lower. So it is as simple as that. All right. Now, right now I'm going to review what happened last week. Okay, so it's like a weekly review here, and I'm gonna annotate what are the mistakes that I've made and how can I improve on them. So I'm just gonna highlight the week here, and let's start. Right, so on the daily, this is the weekly opening price. For NQ, the weekly opens right here. Right, so because this week I was bearish, but at the same time I mentioned that I'm allowing price, or I'm allowing the weekly candle to be an insight candle. Right, so good morning, Professor FX. Good morning to you. Right, so because I was anticipating that, I didn't really, to be honest, I didn't really put that at the highest of importance when I'm framing my bias for each and every day. So that is one of the mistakes that I've made last week, right? Because at the back of my head, I'm thinking that price is going to be bearish, so we should expect like some form of stop hunts on the previous week's low at the minimum, right? But because on the previous forecast, I mentioned that we are most likely going to have an insight candle, right? But somehow or other, it just escapes my mind, and that was one of the mistakes that I've made. So on Monday, I was actually anticipating price to take out this lows here, or this low here for NQ, and then we probably have some sort of SMT before reversing higher to fill up inefficiencies on the daily chart. That was my expectation, but because it was supposed to be an inside candle here, we did not take out the previous week's low, and instead Monday just trades lower below the weekly open and expands higher. Right, so on Tuesday we have the opening price over here and this candle right here. From this candle, Tuesday's candle, I understand that price would eventually want to drop into this daily fair value gap for ES and this daily fair value gap for NQ. However, I was trying to look for shorts, right? My focus was looking for shorts into Monday's low because Tuesday took out Monday's high. If you take a look at the hourly chart, where is it? Alright, so the hourly chart right here. This is Monday, and Tuesday is this block right here, right? So Tuesday, we took out Monday's high first. So I was thinking that maybe this week could be seek and destroy due to the fact that we are most probably going to be in a low probability condition. Therefore, I was looking for price to present a short into Monday's low, but obviously it did not happen, and it basically just traded all the way into this equal highs, and eventually on Wednesday we got this daily fair value gap level over here. So that is mistake number one that I made on Tuesday, right? So on Wednesday, because I was thinking that, right, maybe we want to retrace due to the fact that we have traded into the daily fair value gap, right? I was looking for a retracement, okay? And over here during the AM session, we were presented with SMT on Wednesday, right? And I was basically waiting for the 15 minutes, should I say 15? No, I think it's 5 minutes change in the state of delivery after the SMT. So let me use the replay button. Where is it? Right here. And for NQ right here. Right, so it's very clear over here that we have SMT on the highs, right? And I was waiting for the 5 minutes change in the state of delivery, which we got right here at this candle. Okay, so I was looking to short NQ because it has made a higher high, therefore my entries are most probably going to be tagged as compared to ES, because ES is the weaker asset. And if you compare the price action between Nasdaq and ES, you would see that obviously Nasdaq was slightly cleaner than ES, right? So over here, this 15 minutes, this 5 minutes closing price here, I was looking for shorts, right? And I took a short right here. It's in one of the live streams, it's recorded. So I took it here and then it traded lower, but I did not have the conviction to trade to my target here, which is London's low. And that was one of the mistakes that I've made, right? Not holding or not entering the second time because I was in a mental drawdown. So definitely I need to work on that, right? What validates the price running down into this area here? What was the thing that I saw? Right, so in the live stream I've mentioned that this right here on the 5 minutes chart, this is an inversion fair value gap. Not inversion, sorry, implied fair value gap. Right, so these two lines here, this forms the implied fair value gap. at the closing price of this candle. So the very next candle we traded up into that inversion fair value gap, and then it just drops. So this is one thing that I regretted for this week, because my conviction wasn't there and I was a little bit thrown off the guard due to the fact that I think I made a mistake on Tuesday that led me to a drawdown, right? So I wasn't confident in my analysis, which is what led me to not take this trade right here. And for my entry up here, I exited early, right? So that's one thing that I can improve on. And once Wednesday has closed, it is very hard to, to gauge the price, right? Because at the closing price of Wednesday, we are somewhere around here. Let's see. Yep, we are here, right? And I wasn't able to trade the London session. That's one thing. The other thing is that during the AM session, we have a very deep drop in price. So to me, I thought that, okay, finally we are heading back to Monday's low. But one thing that prevented me from taking a short trade on Wednesday, is it Wednesday? No, on Thursday, is that we are way below the daily opening price. So that I have to give credit to myself, right? That I have the discipline to not short below the daily open. Right here, as you can see, the daily open is right here, and I was shorting above the daily open. So that is one of the rules that I kept. So when you're looking for SMT, is it the time frame? Is there a better time frame to look at? If you study trader days material, the best SMTs often is quarterly SMTs. So for example, in this example right here, okay, we're trading in Wednesday, right? So Wednesday is split up into 4 quarters: midnight, 6 a.m. and 12 noon, right? So this is your 4 quarters for the day. And for ES, let me just mark out the lines here: midnight, 6 and 12, right? So the best SMTs occurs when 1 quarter is compared to the previous quarter. So over here we have NQ taking out Q2's high, but ES did not take out Q2's high. Alright, so this is one very good example of how you can utilize SMT. So because quarters are fractal, you can use that when, for example, Wednesday takes out Tuesday's highs or lows, and when the other asset that is supposed to be correlated did not take out Tuesday's highs or lows. That is a very high probability SMT. And if you're looking for like a reversal, like for example TGIF, right? Because we are trading higher and higher, the easiest way to confirm if we are going to reverse in trend for the week is you can use Thursday's highs and lows compared to Wednesday, or Friday's highs and lows compared to Thursday's. Yeah. But I keep forgetting to add to my trading plan. Well, you just have to build a habit around that, I guess. All right. So yeah, I think this is the easiest way. I mean, if you're trading on intraday, you just have to use the intraday quarters. But if you're trying to capture the weekly range, then it would be best for you to use the daily quarters, right? Make sense here? I hope I'm making sense here, right? So that is one thing. The other thing is that yeah, it takes practice. You get there eventually. You just need practice, right? So where was I? I was in Thursday. Yeah. So heading into Thursday, I tried to took a long, right? I understand that we are going to run this highs here, and I took a long, but I made a mistake in Thursday, right? I actually caught the lows here, but I placed my stop loss too tight, right? Because I was a little bit too confident in my setup and in the direction that is going to go, that I have tightened my stops a little bit too much, right? So I took the trade on ES, so I'm gonna show the example on ES. Right, so from this candle here, I knew that we were going to run higher from the close of this candle, right? So I was waiting for any closing candle above this high here, because if we have that, that means this is the last down close candle, the last order block, these two candles here combined, right? So once we got that right here, I understand that my entries, as long as it's within this order block, it is valid. Okay, so I went down into the 5 minutes, and the first thing I saw was this implied, I mean not implied, but this inversion fair value gap. This was the first thing that I saw, this inversion fair value gap. I should use another color. How about orange? Yeah, so I saw this inversion fair value gap. Right below, we have this BC here. Right, so I basically took a long entry here, and I put my stops right here. Now for the rule, I should have put my stops right down here or here. The reason being is that we can trade all the way down into this 15 minutes order block, right? The blue shaded area is the 15 minutes order block. The stops has to be at least below the entire order block. So that is what I was wrong about, right? So I actually placed my stops right here, and as you can see, it tagged my stop and then it reversed and it just rips higher. So this is one of the mistakes that I've made, that I was overconfident in my analysis that it is going to be a reversal profile, right? So in the end it actually is, but we had some form of consolidation first before that reversal profile. And at the same time, I did not use the fibs, right? So if I have used the fibs, I would have entered right here at this mean threshold of the entire order block, right? And obviously if I put my stops here, then I was stopped out, but this is a smaller loss as compared to here. This is 10 points, right? If I put my limit here, somewhere around here, let me look for it. Yeah, somewhere around here to here, this is only 4.5. So this would allow me mental capital to enter the trade right here, right? So the thing that is wrong about this is number one is the stop placement. Number two is that I did not enter here. I did not give it a second try. The reason why I did not give it a second try is also because that I took quite a major loss. It's like a 10-point loss. So I thought that, to me, this is low probability, right? But if you look closely, we are within the 15 minutes order block, and right here, this candle here, we have a change in the state of delivery on the 5 minutes time frame, right? So because this down close candle took out this swing low here, right? So any closing prices above this down close candle validates this as a bullish order block. So right here we have a closing price above this order block, and at the same time we have a fair value gap. So to me, I could have taken this. I was contemplating to take this trade here, but in the end I did not, due to the fact that I took a loss initially. So this was the entry that I missed, right? I said I missed because I saw it but I didn't take it. This is why I missed, right? So eventually this was the one that ran higher. I mean that took off, right? So moving forward, I'm gonna try to manage in terms of size that I can handle such a deep retracement, right? Because I was thinking that if I was going to put it at this lows here, that is 13 points, and if I get stopped out, that's going to incur a huge loss, and even near to that daily maximum drawdown that Top Step allows, that is $1,000, right? So another 7 points I would have hit that daily drawdown limit, and at the same time I can only lose 2,000 for that account. So that is like literally gambling half of the equity available, half of the drawdown available, right? So instead of entering here, I could have waited or entered off this area here. That would allow me more space, more breathing space for the price to gyrate and eventually, you know, run higher, right? So that is one of the things that I would love to improve on. And obviously with this trade here, because this is Thursday, Friday is naturally going to be an small range candle, right? Because if you take a look at Thursday, it's a rather large candle here. Okay, so on Friday it was very clear that it's low probability, right? However, because I understand that I missed out on this, it kind of attacked me mentally, right? And eventually I did end up taking a trade on Friday, 2 trades actually, and it was losses. Even though it was a small loss, it is still losses. So it's gonna affect the mental in some way or another, right? And for those that have watched my live streams during the London session, I was annotating this level here for NQ. This level here, right? So in that live stream I mentioned that I was looking for the low of the day to form somewhere around here, right? And it eventually did. It is even clearer on the, it's clearer on the 6 hours, I mean 1 hour, sorry, 1 hour, right? We have this inversion fair value gap, right? Low of the day. So at the same time, because we have such a huge price run, I was trying to look for invalidation levels, but I couldn't find any, because even on the 1 minute candles we have such a large range, right? So it's impossible for me to look for any swing lows below this inversion, because the next available swing low below the inversion is right here. So from, let's just say if I enter off this high all the way down here, that's 130 points for Nasdaq. So it's impossible for me to take anything unless, you know, I was trying to, you know, play micro contracts. But because I understand that Friday is most probably going to be a small range day, I did not try to take micro contracts, as it is not going to be worth it, right? So that's one thing. that I have seen and I have missed, but it's not something that I would have blamed myself for, right? So I'm glad that I'm able to see this, but at the same time, I'm neutral that I didn't take it, right? So on Friday, the best move actually happened before 10, right? There was a rate folder news at 10, right? I was waiting for it. I came to the desk at 10. So I didn't really look back at what happened before, due to the fact that if you take a look at the 15-minute chart on the Friday, it's just very wonky here, okay? So at 10 a.m, this is the opening price. We have already taken out the previous day's high, the 830's high, and we are at the highs. So I was only looking for shorts exclusively because we were at the highs, right? But somehow or other it just decided to run higher and higher and then close right up here. So one thing that I'm glad is that I only took one try and then I just gave up. I did not try to, keep shorting the market when it's going higher, right? So my trade was in ES. Because ES was the weaker asset here, I thought it wasn't going to run out the 830's high because we do have S&P when compared to NQ. So right here, this few candles here as compared to NQ, this few candles here. So I thought that we are going to have S&P on the highs and then probably retrace into this fair value gap. So this was my target here, and I was on the 5 minutes. And once I saw that price has closed below this last up close candle, and then it has failed to take out this high, right? I was anticipating a retracement into at least these lows here to run higher. So that was my idea, right? So I was trying to take a short, but eventually I got stopped out at a small loss. I wouldn't say it's a lot, it's a low risk sell because I was selling near the highs. So I'm glad that I didn't try. I'm glad that I didn't keep on trying, but at the same time, it still frustrates me a little bit, right? So this is just a review of what happened for the past few days, right? And yeah, moving forward, I think that the weekly forecasting, even though it's a draft or a framework, it is still better to keep it noted somewhere that you can always refer to, that I can always refer to during the trading periods of the week itself, because sometimes you get lost in the lower time frames and then you forget to anchor down the ideas or the bias that you have for the higher time frames, and that could actually kind of catch you off guard, lead you to the wrong path or something like that, and then you're gonna end up having the wrong bias for the day or for the intraday. So moving forward, I'm gonna do that, and that's one of the improvements I'm gonna make. Right, so therefore heading into next week, because I'm anticipating a large candle for next week due to the fact that we have a inside candle for this week right here, and even on NQ it's the same, right? Inside candles, and we have a lot of rate folder news next week as well. Therefore, I'm expecting next week to at least take out this week's highs and lows, highs or lows. Okay, now what I would prefer is that when we have the weekly, once we have the weekly open, the first 2 days or the first half of the week, we're going to see price trading higher. That is what I want to see, because on the higher time frames I'm bearish, so I want to see price trade higher. at least taking out this week's high, and it is probably going to expand into this area here if we are going to make the high of the week on Wednesday. For ES, if NQ is going to expand out here, I think ES can expand up into this week, this high here. This is probably going to bring us into the mean threshold territory of this last up close candle, and that by itself is SMT, because I'm not anticipating NQ to take out this high. I'm only expecting it to trade up to this volume imbalance. Alright, for ES, I'm allowing it to trade up to this high and even up to the mean threshold before lower prices. That is in the case whereby we get the first half of the week higher prices. But for example, if the price, weekly opening price opens and then we just drop lower, that to me is not what I want to see, and to me that would indicate that we are going to go higher for the rest of the month. That is just my opinion. We shall see how it plays out, right? Because ultimately I don't know at what price the week is going to open at, and how is it going to trade for the first 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And personally, I think that the high of the week is going to be on Wednesday. That's all I can know for now. So I'm gonna work with that framework in mind, and if that's the case, the best swing trades to take out the weekly range will be after Wednesday. So I'm going to try to capture that, and maybe on Monday and Tuesday I'm just going to, you know, try to capture the session range. That's all I'm going to try to do, right? So yep, that's basically it for this review forecast session here. Alright, so I see that there are 1 or 2 viewers, right? If you have any questions, you can ask them. I'll end this session in about 5 to 10 minutes time, depending on if there are any questions. S&P US 30. Yes, so it works the same. Let me see, where's the chart for that? Right here. Right, it works the same. We can use the same thing, right? And on the higher time frames, you want to use 3. On the lower time frames, to me personally, I just find that using S&P and Nasdaq is more than enough on the lower time frames. Like if you're trading just the session or intraday, S&P and NQ is all you need. But if you're trading on high time frames, swing trades, position trades, then I think the Dow Jones would be very important. Right, so for example, if you just compare the highs made in the month of April, S&P took out this high, previous quarter's high. NQ did not. Dow Jones took out the previous quarter's high. So this by itself is SMT, which is why we have this huge drop in price for the month of April. So same thing here. If I'm going to compare Dow Jones has already taken out this week's high, but S&P and Nasdaq did not take out this week's high, this candle's high, right? So to me, this is a warning sign already, right? Which is why I was looking for lower prices. As you can see right here, we have relative equal lows as well for Dow Jones. I think S&P is delayed by 10 minutes on TradingView. I'm using the free version. Do you mean like you don't trade the futures or you trade the CFDs? I mean, I would understand if you're trading the CFDs, then I think I can't comment on that because I don't really have any experience on CFDs because I'm mainly trading on the futures. So I believe if your S&P is delayed, that means you're not paying for this CME data here, because the CME data comes as a CME data pack. So if you have this, you would have the 3 indices. So yeah, I'm guessing that you're trading CFDs. In that case, I think you would much rather use your CFD chart for all the 3 indices for a better sync, I guess. Yeah. Then I don't think that matters. Like, it's just 10 minutes, right? I don't think it matters if you're trading on the higher time frames, but it is going to matter if you're trading on the intraday. I think your US 30 and Nasdaq, I think it's CFDs, right? So I think there is going to be something like the US 500 or SPX 500. I mean, it depends on your broker or the data that you're receiving the feed from, because there's a lot of US 30s, like for example, oh, right here. So there's a lot of US 30s, but I think mainly you want to focus on this thing here, because for CFDs, different brokers have different prices. So that's the one of the flaws if you're using CFDs, right? So if you are using, for example, capital.com's US 30, you can use capital.com's US 500 and capital.com's US 100. I think that would give you the highest accuracy. So you basically want to match the broker. So yeah, any more questions? Broker is using, just look for those charts on TradingView with the same name, with the same broker basically. So if your broker is capital.com, you want to use the US 30 and the US 100 provided by the capital.com. If you're using, what else is there? Like for example, if you're using 8 cap, you want to use 8 caps Nasdaq. If you're using Black Bulls Dow Jones US 30, you want to use Black Bulls US 100. So your broker needs to match. I think that would be the best accuracy that you can get in terms of SMT. Yeah, then you have to check which broker that they are using to confirm. So yeah, it's the same, just like crypto. Since I'm on the Coinbase Bitcoin, I'm gonna be using Ethereum Coinbase as well. I'm not going to go to Bitstamp Ethereum or Kraken Ethereum, or Binance Ethereum when I'm comparing it with Bitcoin Coinbase. So as long as the brokers match, the SMTs are most likely going to be accurate. Purple trading, I don't think we have that on the trading view. US 30 IC markets, and yeah, there's no purple trading over here. Yep. You have to check your broker. Yep, no worries here. I hope I have helped. Alright, I'm gonna end the stream here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.